Okay, let's address the issue of all the stuff they're doing with the food, the atmosphere, everything they're doing that's basically designed to dumb us down, de-evolve humanity. And everybody thinks so that they can control us, so that they can install their new world order, their 1,000-year Reich, the millennial reign, the Black Sabbath, through God's millennium. That's part of the reason. They want to dumb us down also, so that we'll never have the ability or the intellect of intelligence to figure out the truth. Now, the mouth of this beast is a roaring lion, as roaring as a lion's roar and a waves roar, because the mouth of this lion is the mouth of the Egyptian sea. You need to get to the satellite. Look at the satellite image of this. You have spiritual Egypt is false religion. This beast is symbolic of false religion, and its mouth is the mouth of the Nile River, the Egyptian sea. Okay, which when these false doctrines pour out of this mouth, they create contrary waves in the Egyptian sea that go against God's waves of His word. So these are false doctrines from Satan's beast kingdom, spiritual Egypt and Sodom, spewing into the sea of God's word, corrupting it, creating contrary waves that go against God's word, corrupting everything, His people and His word. These are the waves in Jude that spew out their own shame, the false teachers and their doctrines, going against and blaspheming our Creator and His true knowledge. Feminine is not the earthly mother. The feminine is symbolically the earthly element of the earthly and spiritual, because the feminine encouches the spiritual knowledge. When God created everything, He created His garments, our world. He made everything symbolic, as with water. Water is an earthly concept, earthly word, physical from a physical realm, but it represents God's word, God's spiritual word. So the word water encouches and gives birth symbolically to spiritual knowledge, God's word. See, it's not a God, it's a symbol. So the earthly symbolically, which is the female, symbolically gives birth to the spiritual. This is how we are to become childlike. When we, the earthen vessels, the feminine, the bride of Christ, this is why we are the bride of Christ, give birth in us, our empty cisterns, our vessels, give birth to Christ in us. Okay, so this is the marriage supper of the Lamb, our earthen vessels containing God's spiritual knowledge. Now, the mouth of this beast is a roaring lion, as roaring as a lion's roar and a waves roar, because the mouth of this lion is the mouth of the Egyptian sea. Look at the satellite image of this. You have spiritual Egypt is false religion. This beast this is Christ, God's spirit, the masculine, which is encouched in us spiritually. This is when we become childlike and enter the kingdom of heaven, because we've allowed God's Spirit, Christ, the masculine, to dwell in our physical body, symbolically the feminine. It's all symbology, it's not worship. This is when we become God's children. Symbolically, this is when we become God's children. Now, the wicked have created a situation by being fake truthers. Okay, so now they've put so much misinformation out there disguised as truthers, and creating so much discontent and misinformation that the people who truly are seeking the truth can't even find each other, really. And if we do, we can't have no way of vetting whether this other person is a real truther or a fake truther that's going to turn you in. So it keeps us from being able to unite because we don't know who to trust. All the people who want to straighten all this nonsense out, we can't, because we can't unite, because there's no way we can know who's truthing, because all it takes is one misstep and revealing yourself to a fake truther, and you're reported and dealt with. So there has to be a way to deal with this problem that they've created, a way around this. There's no signal, there's nothing, but it's something to give some thought to on how to work around this. Maybe it can be some knowledge-based thing where if people can reveal a certain amount of knowledge to you beyond what because these fake truthers will not reveal the truth, or at least the full truth. So you can vet people maybe possibly by seeing how much truth they know and how accurate they are and how much of it they can give. Now, a very interesting point of contention as to the curse on God's people, as to what Satan has done in the vials and the bowls, and specifically in places like Hosea 13, 6-8, where it talks about God's people being under punishment, or that Satan is punishing God's people. However, it seems that God is definitely in control. But as to whether he allows these punishments to happen through other agents or his agents, or whether he is implementing them himself as a penalty for falling away from him, he could just be allowing them to happen, or as with the vials and bowls, sending these plagues and curses on us. As in Hosea, he says directly that he's going to do this as a lion, bear, leopard. And there are other places that refer to this too. So, just what is going on here? The jury is still out, I don't know. Okay, could it be that, the designers of this parabolic language made these claims of these parabolic meanings of the earthly so outrageous, such as the moon and the sun will not give their lights, that these people, the wicked, they're trying to make all this stuff come true. All these prophecies come true. Well, some of these prophecies are just so outrageous that they can't make them come true. Like the sun and the moon being darkened. This is because this is why they've brought up this Nibiru and are pushing all these crazy doctrines and all this stuff. It's because it gives them a way of making people think that these prophecies are going to be physically manifesting when they're not. The sun and the moon will be darkened. This is Old and New Testament. The true knowledge is going to be overshadowed, and they're not going to give its light. There's no spiritual knowledge coming from the Bible. Only earthly knowledge. This is the sun and the moon not shining. So another of these claims, these prophecies that they're trying to make come true, is the mark. This is what they're doing. Either they don't know or they don't. Well, they know because they're the ones giving us the mark, but they're trying to make the people that don't know, the secular world, believe that there's going to be this mark, this microchip, and all this other crazy stuff that's going to happen. They're trying to make it outrageous, make these things physically manifest, not spiritually manifest, when they are spiritual things, and they're not physical manifestations at all. This is how they're deceiving people, and this goes along with many of the other prophecies. They've been able to make some come true, but others they just can't. Okay, I'd like to regress to this leopard beast in Daniel and in Revelation. Now, not only in Athens, Greece, did they have many different denominations of the same religion, which are the spots of the leopard, but also these were occult religions. Remember, these were doctrines of devils from the spirit realm also that they were creating denomination divisions in. Are these crowns the religious system that they use to control mankind? The mountains are the spiritual entities. The horns are the military and secular government, economic governments that stand on God's people with these bear's feet through the age that are the age. With these bare feet that are the age that stand on the sands of God's people to deceive them. See, crowns, horns are basically, so if horns are military might, economic institutions, governmental powers, and in our realm, then these crowns on top of them must be the manifestation of the knowledge, the something. All I can think is this is Satan trying to rise above the clouds of God with his clouds, his false religious institutions. Also, could these 7 seals and scroll be parabolic of the 7th millennium, and the scroll being unrolled is the unveiling of these prophecies reduplicating, unrolling, and being revealed over and over again through the Bible? Now, let's see here. They'll try to say that Ham or his son slept with Noah's wife because uncovering the father's nakedness is sleeping with the wife in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. However, parabolically, the elders are the man and the laity is the wife. This would be a false teacher trying to teach your laity, your parishioners, your church, false knowledge. As within the earlier verse, it says Noah planted a vineyard and became a husbandman. That means he became a teacher, as within the book of Jasher, where him and his sons taught Abraham for 39 years. So back to the laity being deceived, as in Ham's name and Canaan's name are deceiver, fallen. Having your true knowledge of our Creator corrupted, thus being naked, because this is the spotting of your garments. The corrupting of your knowledge of our Creator are your garments. The corrupting of your true knowledge of our Creator, the soiling of our wedding garments. In this picture, this beast having 6 claws on each paws, digging into the sand that symbolize God's people, or that symbolize Abraham's descendants. To me, this is personally symbolic of the 6,000 years that this beast has had its claws dug in the back of God's people.